Alright, so still a little sick here, but I wanted to go ahead and try the Scrimba solo challenge. So what we were to do is basically to create a travel journal, and I wanted to go ahead and get everything together before I started the video, but then I just thought it'd probably be better to kind of go through the, just from the beginning. So I'll explain what I did so far. So I went ahead and I started up a project, and I went ahead and ordered some of my files. So in my SRC is where my components are going to be located in my data. So my data is the text that I'm going to enter into these fields right here when I go ahead and create my component. And I went ahead and I split this up into two components. So one component is going to be this header right here. And then my second component is going to be this little column right here. So if I go, I can see that, yep, it's working, but we did not even start yet. So what I'm trying to do is just get one place going. And the last thing I'm looking for is an image here. So I'm trying to find an image that looks nice that I can go ahead and use as the front page. So I'm trying to see if I can find any image here, and yep, here it is. This is actually the image I was looking for. So I can save image as, if it's gonna let me. So, or I can open it in a new tab and then save image as, and then I will name it Helen. So Helen, Georgia is one of the places that I'm going to put on here. And I didn't want to record this because I didn't know how interesting this would be, but at the same time, I guess it's worth the practice. So our route to this image that we just placed inside of our public folder actually won't take public. Instead, it's just going to say dash img dash helen dot jpeg. And I think this is the correct route that we would use. If not, we can just experiment with that in the future. So now we have all the pieces to the component. I just wanted to do some of the busy work so that I wasn't just sitting here doing this, and it would have probably been really boring to watch. So first we have our image, and this image is going to be in our component, of course. And then we have our country. So this is Japan. For us, it's the US. And then we have the name of the place. So right here, it's Helen. So then we have the arrival. So the arrival is going to be here. The departure is going to be here. And then we have the description of the place. And that's all of the pieces that we need. This SVG is going to be exported from here, and then I'll use it in my project. And then this view Google Maps will go ahead and be exported. So this component is really weird for the most part. Well, not too weird, but it's like a 2-column component. So it's going to have to be built a little bit different than a lot of the stuff that I've built in the past. But first things first, I want to go ahead and get this SVG and go ahead and get started with the header component. So we can go here, and then we can rename this to globe.svg. And then we can get this inside of our project. So we can get this here. And then now we can kind of just get started with the header component. So the header component is very, very simple. So one thing that I can do here is I can get the background. And I actually have never tried this in Tailwind. So I actually want to see if this will work. And it actually does work, which is funny enough because I've never tried that. And let's see how tall this is. So the height of this is 55 pixels from what I'm understanding here. Let's go ahead and look at this. And then I think, of course, this is going to be a flex, or actually we're doing this to the wrong component. I want to go ahead and do this to my div. So I want to move this up, and then I want to go up here and I want to say class name, and I want to give this my class name. Oops, I accidentally added that in there. So now that should work perfectly. And then the width, it's just going to be the full width of the screen. So no need to worry about that. So when we go, it'll be the full width of the screen. And when we shrink, it won't be. And then of course the text is going to be white. So we can say text white, and it's going to be a flex. And the reason why it's going to be a flex is because we're also going to display here my IMG. And the source to my IMG is going to be IMG slash, and it's going to be globe.svg. Now we have our globe SVG, and then our alt text is going to be image of a globe, or icon, or maybe I should be more descriptive. White icon of the planet Earth. Okay, so now that we have flex, still a little secure, we can justify our content to the center. And then we can also align our content or items center. And this will go ahead and align them perfectly with each other on the horizontal. So the justify center basically aligns our columns vertical, and then the item center does it horizontally. So this doesn't say welcome. Actually, what it says is my travel journal. So now we can go back, and then we get my travel journal. And then another thing is that we are using a different font family. So what we can do here is we can see what font family we're using here by going here, and let's inspect. And we're using Inter, and I think Inter is already a CSS font that we can use. So let me see, font. I think Inter is already a font that we can use. Let me go to Google Fonts real quick and make sure that Inter isn't actually in here. So Inter, I'm gonna go ahead and move this mic a little closer. Okay, so now we can get rid of pop-ins and we can use Inter instead. So we'll get thin, we'll get extra light, regular, medium, semi-bold, bold, extra bold. I don't think we'll need more than that. And then we can import. So this import style, we can go ahead and put it into our CSS. So we can go here into our index CSS and we can put this in here. But we're also going to have to import all other statements besides your set. And okay. So now we also need to go into our config, and we need to do fonts, and then we are going to have to say, ooh, I need to check my GitHub one more time for this, just to see what exactly we're trying to accomplish. So if I go into my digital business card, I'm sure I use this. Go into our tailwind config. Okay, font family is what I used. So I'll just say font family. And then we'll go ahead and say Inter. And it's funny enough, we already used Inter before. So we'll say Inter, and then it's a sans serif font. So now if we go into our CSS file real quick, in our public folder, and then, wait, where's our CSS? Matter of fact, it shouldn't be in our SRC, should it? Index.css, yep. We allowed Inter. So if we can go here, go ahead and allow enter. And then now if we go here, we can just say font enter. So now we changed our font. And then what I also want to do is go ahead and get this spacing that I have here. So it seems to be 7. So I believe this is 7 pixels. Not entirely sure. So we're just going to do 7 pixels. So we can just do this here pretty simply. So we can say class name, and then we can say margin right of 7 pixels. And then we get it to move 7 pixels to the right. And then I want to go ahead and see what fonts or what font size this is. So that doesn't honestly look terrible. One thing is that my font seems to be a little bit more spaced out. So I don't know why that is. Let me see here. Let's see. Line height. Oh, so the letter spacing is a little bit smaller on theirs. So we can go to the Tailwind docs and look up letter spacing. And then we can go here and say class name. And then we can give it a tracking tighter. And let's go check out what that looks like. Didn't really do anything, did it? Oh, it did actually. Tracking tighter. It honestly kind of just looks like, let me see what that looks like for custom properties. So tracking, so negative. So 2, okay, yeah, that's a lot. And then 2, 3, 5, okay. So -1 is kind of a lot. So 9, what does -1 do again? Okay, so -1.2, 4. It just looks like it's making my font tiny. Yeah, it just kind of looks like it's making the font smaller. Let's see here. Set the letter spacing. What happens when we do tight again? And this is really experimental because I have not done this. And I don't want to spend too much time doing this just because this isn't really the point of the project. I kind of just want to make it look better. So we can go up here and say the font is going to be, or the text is going to be extra large. Or how about medium? Large. Okay. And then tracking, can say tighter. And honestly, it may not look one-to-one, but at the same time, I don't want to spend so much time focused on just this little component up here. So we'll just leave that as is. And then we can go ahead and go into my location component. And this is where a lot of the CSS is gonna, be. So we can export default our function of location. And of course, we're using the capitalized version. And then we can return, we can go ahead and return our div with an h2. It's going to say location. And then we can import that into our main.jsx. So we can import location, nope, not location data. Location from our components.jsx. And then we can go here and say location. And then let's see if we get it. And we do get it right here. So it's exactly what we wanted. And now what I can go ahead and do I think this is a little bit taller on that screen. So what I want to do here is I want to say 70. Yeah, that looks a little bit better. Okay, so now what I can do here is I can go ahead and start working on this component. So something different here is that the margin bottom, there seems to be a margin bottom here too. So margin bottom we'll do of 10, and that should move location down a little bit. And we'll just test with that a little bit as we go. So now I want to go ahead and build my component. And what I want to do is this is going to be one big div. So this whole container is going to be one big div. And then what I want to do is create another div. And this div is going to have my image. So img slash and then Helen dot JPEG. And if we go ahead and we go here, we see that we get Helen JPEG. And I want to give it some styling. So before we do that, actually, we can just kind of get our things rolling. So we want to create another div. And this div is going to have some information inside of it. So inside of this div, we create another div. And then this div is going to have an image. And this image, actually, let me see. So this div is going to be, let me see here, class name flex. And this div on the other side, so this is going to be one side of our div. And then I want to say class name background slate 300. And then I want to give this a small height real quick. Oh, that's a little small. 200 pixels. This is going to be background slate. And then I'm going to say a padding of 6. Or we can even say a padding of 8. And then this is going to be a background slate 800. And then we're going to just give this a padding of 8 as well. And this is just so, you know, I can see the way my component is starting to form. So this kind of makes a bit more sense to me. So now that we have this picture on the right, we want to go ahead and set our class name here of background slate 400. And then our padding is going to be 8. Or, yep, padding 8. And then this is going to represent, oh man, this is going to represent all the stuff on the other side. So what we have on the other side is a div. So this is the other div. And this is the first div. And this first div is going to contain some information. So this first div is going to contain, I'm not sure if it's another div, but what I want is an img, and I'm going to have to export this real quick. And I'm going to have to go to design, export SVG, export the path. Oh, it didn't work. So oh, this is like a 2-part. Okay, hold on. Okay. Let's see here. This is what I want. And then I want to go ahead and export SVG. And then I want to go ahead and take this from here. And this is going to be called our location icon.svg. And then I want to go ahead and put this in here. So our img, so that's going to be our location icon. So I want to say /img/ location icon.svg. And then go ahead and go back into our Vite, and it added it in actually pretty well. And the alt text is going to be a red, small red icon indicating location. So now we have that, and then what I also want to have is in H4 we'll just say Japan for now. So we'll say Japan for now, and let's see how that loads up on my Vite. Okay, good. And then I want to have a P that says view, it's going to be a PA, and it's going to say view on Google Maps. So now if we go up here, we can go ahead and change this into a class name of a flex container. And now you see that we get it exactly how it appears on here. So the styling is not there yet, but we will work on that. So honestly, what we could do as well is that we can actually separate these even further. So what we could do here is say boom, 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 separate these even further. And actually, I don't think so, because they all just need to be in line. So I actually don't think we have to do that. We can just do this. And if we go here, we see that we get it started. Okay, that's not a bad spot in comparison to where it's at there. We want to get this Japan icon text, and we want to do some stuff to it. So what we can do here, first of all, I think we're using the wrong fonts. So I can say text, or we can say font enter. Let me make sure it changes. It didn't really look like it changed anything. Let me say font enter. Okay. So this little icon here is really small. So what I want to do is give it a better height and width. So we can say class name, and then height is going to be 9.55 pixels, and then the width is going to be 7 pixels. So let's see if that makes that a little bit bigger. It doesn't at all. Okay. So that kind of just, okay, let me see, height 1, that makes it really small. Okay, that makes it a little bit too big. So we're going to say height of 4. And also what we want to do here is we want to go ahead and say items center. Go ahead and center all of our items, and we don't have to say justify center. So something else I could even do here is give it a background. And I use these backgrounds to go ahead and give me reference when I'm building out my components. So I know which pieces are which. So I know that this is this, I know that this piece is right here, and I know that this piece is right here. And it just allows me to build things a lot easier. So what is the font size? So if we go here, we see our font size is this. So if we say class name, text, and then we get that, we can see that we created a smaller Japan symbol. Let me make sure that looks correct. It might be a little bit too small. Yeah, that might be a little bit too small. So we can say 12 pixels, or like 13, 14. And then, oh, that is way too big. Okay. So we'll say 12 for now. And then we can go ahead and set our margin right or margin left to be 3. Oh, margin right to be 3. Or we can actually go here and we can say class name, margin right, can set it to 3. Margin left, set it to 3. And then of course this is not going to be the same text size, so we can say text. And then we can say 13 pixels. So this is going to be smaller. And then let me see what the size here is of this. Okay, so these two sizes are the same. So they're both going to use, and I'm getting this from this size here. So this size is 10.24, and then they want this size to also be 10.24, meaning that it's probably going to be about the same size. And then there seems to be about 12 pixels between these. So I can say margin left and give this a 12 pixels. So if we go here, we see that we get our things, and not looking too terrible, but I can definitely fix this up more. So we can use this color here and we can say text, and we can give this a color. See if that worked. So yeah, went ahead and gave it a color. And then the decoration, this href can just be plain. What I could do though is I could make this a prop, and then I can send the person to the Google Maps of where the actual place is, but I would have to build that into my location data. So here I can say like location, and then I can go to Google Maps, and then I can go ahead and put in Helen, Georgia, and then I can get the directions. Oh man. So I could even probably just get this link here, and I wonder what happens when we go to this link. We get Helen, Georgia. Okay, so we can just take the user to Google, and then that will go ahead and go inside of our href once we go out and build the component. And then we are going to need some text decorations. So I'm going to go here to Tailwind, and I'm going to look up text decoration. So text decoration style, and it's saying here that to use that we can say decoration solid. And if we go back here, we didn't get it. So I can go here. Let's see. Maybe I'm not getting it because of this background here, or the fact that this slate color is, we can leave that there, and we can use a different color here. So I could say background red 300. There we go. So now we can kind of see this a little bit better. And let me go back to Tailwind. And then we can say decoration solid. And then we can remove this. And then we can go back here. Surely it won't work. Let's see what we can do here. I wonder if it's this that's ruining it. It's not. Let me try this on something else. So let me go to my H4. Say decoration solid. That's actually not working, which is weird. Text decoration style solid. Maybe we need to say underline. So let me say here underline. So text decoration underline. Okay, and now we got it. So yeah, a lot of things in Tailwind are just weird, just a little bit different from how we would do it in regular CSS. So with this image here, I can even say, or actually with this H4 here, I can say margin right of 4 pixels. And the best thing about this is that I'm only going to have to do this once. So once I already do one component, the rest of them are just going to flow in here. I'm not going to have to rebuild this 4 times for 4 different components or 20 or 50 different components. I'm going to do this once and it's going to work. And that's one of my favorite things about React. So here, our height of 4 is about 16 pixels. So let me say 15 pixels, 13 pixels, 12 pixels, 11 pixels. Okay, that looks a little bit better. Let me see, because let's see the comparison here. Not bad. And then I think Japan might have some spacing in the letters. So we can go here and we can look up spacing, letter spacing. So yep, that's what we were using earlier. So we can say tracking wide. And before we refresh, I want to see what it's going to look like. Wider. Is there even wider? Let me see. 0. It's using EMs. So we can just go here, say 0.8 EMs. Oh, that was not good. 4 EM, 2 EM, 1 EM. So let me say 4 EM, 3, 2.5. No, that's not going to work. 2. Let me see here. And then what does it look like without it? So go back. Okay, yeah, that definitely looks a lot closer to what the design is asking for. Dang, I want like 1.5, 0.15, 0.2, 0.15. Yeah, that's a lot closer to what it's asking for. And let's see here. Boom, that's about 12. That's about 4. So 12 and 4. And then that's good. Okay, I think this component's good for the most part. Then we can view on Google Maps. Let's go ahead and get into the second part. So this is the first part, and then this is going to be the, hold on, let me make sure I'm doing this right. Okay, yeah, that's the first one. And then let's keep this background of sky 300, just so that we can know how our components are being laid down. And then our div here, it's going to take in an H2. And our H2 is going to be Helen GA. So let's see how that looks. Helen GA. And then our class name is going to be background sky 400. Okay, our background sky 400. And then our enter. So our text is going to be, let's see, what is it? 25 pixels. And then the font is going to be bold. So we have our bold font. And then our, okay, that's the weight. Let me see if bold gets the weight correctly. Yep, 700. That is bold indeed. And it's saying that it's using a different color. So what we can do here is say text And then we can add the text with that color. And then it should have that color on there now, which is good. What I want to see here is if Japan is also using that color or just using black. So it seems like Japan is also using that color. And I would go ahead and make like a utility for this since I'm just repeating this. But I think it's fine for now since we're not using it that many times. So our text here, let me see here. What happens if I remove it? Okay, that's fine. So we have Helen, Georgia. And I think that component is pretty much done. It doesn't really require much at all. So now we are going, this is going to have some margin bottom here, or some padding bottom. So padding bottom of 5. Let me see what that affects. Yeah, okay. That's going to definitely have some padding bottom. And then our next container is going to go ahead and get our dates. So this can just be 1p paragraph. And this is just going to say 12th of January 2021 to 24 of January 2021. So we can go back here. And of course, this is going to be smaller. So this div is going to be a class name of background sky 500. And this is just to make sure that we know what we're building down here. And then the size is going to be this. So we can say class name and then text. We're going to do 12 pixels just because that's what we used on these buttons up here. So, yep, we're going to do 12 pixels. And then we're going to say font bold. So use font bold here. And that looks honestly pretty good. So, yeah, I don't hate it. Don't hate it at all. Actually, I feel like I can go smaller with that. So let's see. Size 10.24. Now I'm wondering here with Japan if I can say 10.24. And I think that actually does look a little bit better, honestly. But our image would have to be smaller. .24. And then here would be 10.24. Okay, yeah, I actually kind of like that better. The only thing is that here, it is kind of passing under the Japan a little bit. Okay, I like that. I don't mind that at all. So the font weight seems a little bit lighter here for some reason. So yeah, the weight is 400, 400, 400, 700. Okay, no. I'm just seeing things. So yeah, we have our date here. And then now we have one more div. And this div is going to have our description. So we're going to go ahead and copy this description here. We're going to see how this looks here. And nice. So what we want to do here is, should we give this a max width? And this would go on the red. So we can say max width of, let's say 200 pixels. No, 500 pixels, 600 pixels, 700. No, that's big. So we'll say max width of 600 pixels. Let me see how that looks without. Setting the max width does make it look a little bit better. And let's see how this looks on mobile. So one thing that'll have to change on mobile is like the flex. So yeah, this is gonna have to be flex wrap. Wrap. And then boom, that actually looks pretty good. So let me see here. What happens if we go 700 pixels? That doesn't change anything. So yeah, honestly, I like it. I think it looks pretty good. So then the mobile users will be able to view this kind of like cards, and then the desktop users are going to be able to view this kind of like kind of like oh, that's not good. Okay. So flex wrap. So flex wrap is going to have to be so in small. So how do I make it not wrap on smaller devices? Because I'm good with it not wrapping on smaller devices. It's when I get to the mobile. So this is going to be some flex wrap. So we're going to say flex, no wrap. And it's not going to wrap until boom. Okay, hold on. What I need to happen here is I need this to grow. Max width. And then I'm going to do 600 here. Let me see what this will do. Okay. Because this doesn't look great on here. So we would have to say, let's say medium. So it's not going to wrap until medium. Okay. But I could even go a little bit larger without wrapping. Nope, I can't, because then it's going to go here. So let me go. Oh, wrong thing. Responsive design. So medium, large. So large. How do I do my own? Let me see here. Customizing your theme. So I can go here, theme, and then I can say screens, and then I can say tablet, and then I need to see when it is that it's not looking great. So I can go here and I can set my breakpoint accordingly. So I can inspect, go ahead and jump into responsive mode. Let's jump into responsive. And then I want it to, first of all, not do anything. Shoot. 600 pixels. So I want the no wrap to be gone for now. And let's see. Flex wrap. So small. Flex, no wrap. Hold on. I just pasted this. And I think this might be messing it up. Yeah. So I needed to like, honestly, I wouldn't mind it breaking off at medium or even like large. The only thing that I don't like is the styling of it. So, and then this doesn't look great. Like on really, really big devices, it doesn't look really that good. But what I could do is kind of make it like this one appear here and this one appear there. We'll see. And what I've been noticing is that these are like kind of built for mobile. Like all these designs that Stadia, that Scrim has been giving us, are kind of built for mobile. So I'm having some issues here. Let's see. Because in full screen, I don't know how good this looks. Okay. So when does this cross over? Let me see if I can. What's supposed to be the height of this anyways? Let me see here. 18 pixels. 200 pixels. Oh wow, I'm changing the wrong thing. Right here. So a height of 200 pixels. This is supposed to be a height of 168 pixels. 68 pixels. And a width to 125 pixels. And then we're going to say background cover. Okay, no, because the image, it's not going inside of its own div. So background. Okay, so one thing I need to figure out. Background image. So set background image to div in Tailwind CSS. Background image is Tailwind. Yeah, obviously Tailwind CSM background images doesn't work. Linear gradients, don't care about that. You need to use, it doesn't make sense. So let me go here. And instead of this, let me say background. And then let me say URL slash img slash helen.jpg. And so this is getting confused with how to read this here. Okay. So I'm going to comment this out real quick. And say P6. P20 pixels? What? Okay. That's different. Background cover. Contain. Cover. Background. Center. Okay, let me see what's going on here. So the max width is going to be 600 pixels. Rounded. Margin right. 10. Okay. So let me say the min width 600 pixels. There we go. Okay. So the min width is going to be 150 for now. So when we go ahead and shrink, okay, this is going to be good now. This is probably going to work. Yeah, lots of responsive design here. So let me say the width is 125 pixels. The height should stay relatively the same as this. So this should be the small size. So when we go here, what's the width of this? So this is going to be max width 600 pixels. Oh, shoot. So let me see here. The min width is going to be 200 pixels, 300 or 350. And then the max width is going to be 400 pixels. Okay, hold on. This is the first time I've ever done anything too complex like this. And it's not even really complex, it's just making it work. So here, this is going to be small as well. So by default, it should not do that. So let me actually work in mobile view for a second here. And let me go to iPhone 5. And let me say the min width is 300, 200, 250, 260. And then this is going to be on small devices as well. But the min width is going to be the same as here. And one thing that I'm starting to wonder is that why don't I just do it here? So then I can take it off here. No, I think I do have to do it there. So that's going to be the min width. But what if we go to like super big phones? So the min width is going to be 90%. And then the min width here is going to be 90%. 95. Let me go to iPad mini. So the iPad mini is going to be something different. So we're going to say min height is going to be 200 pixels. Because we obviously want to get the image there too. 220, 240, 50, 230. Let me see when it breaks. So I'm gonna put this to medium, and then I'm gonna put this to medium. Ah, dang it. Okay. Let me see here. This is gonna be on medium. Okay. And this is working a little bit better. So that's gonna be on medium, and then the min width is gonna keep growing up until we make it here, and then that's where we're working right now. So on medium, the max width is gonna be 500. What does that change? Okay. So we're gonna get this card until we break off here. And then I'm thinking this is large and above. So this is large. And we're gonna say background red 500, just to confirm when we are in the large. Wow, okay, let's see. Okay, let's see here what's going on. So let me test for mobile one more time. Mobile, it's working on all of our devices. Working well. I think it's working on pretty much everything. Yeah, it's working on everything. And that looks pretty good too, I would say. Looks pretty darn good. So what if we take away padding? What does that do? Okay, yeah. So do we need that much padding? Do we do 5? Do like 5. Okay. And this lost its max width property here. So let's read this. Let's go over this. So we are setting our background slate to 300, and this is this image right here. So our min width is going to be 100%, and then our max width is going to be 500 pixels. Our max width, oh, hold on. What happens if we put our max width here to 800 pixels? Nothing. So our min width or min height is going to be this, and this is the minimum height it's allowed to be. So if I said like, it's going to just get bigger. So that's the min height. And then on medium screen sizes, the min width is going to be 335. So when do we switch to medium is a good question. So let's say this is 200. It shouldn't affect it until we get right about here. So here is actually where it's going to affect it. So now we can come back here and switch back to 125. And is this the component 125 with 125? It might be a little bit bigger. So let's say 130, 150, and we're having a little bit of issues with spacing here, but we'll fix that. It's the background cover, center, and then on medium displays, we are also going to round it. So what I can do here to make this a little bit more readable is to get it here and put all of our medium sizes next to each other, and then put all of our other sizes right here. So now we can move down here, and our min width on medium, our max width. So this might not really work anymore. So we're going to work on medium displays, and our min width is going to be 200 pixels. So the minimum width it's allowed to be will be 200 pixels. So we also have to set a max width. So if we set that, the max width it's allowed to be is 100 pixels. Min width 200 pixels. And then we have to set the maxed width. And the max width that I want it to get to is 200 pixels. Okay. Nope, that's not what I want. 800 pixels, 500, 700, 800, 700. So let's grow. And that is the max width that it'll be allowed to go to. So we can set this to about 800. So now the max width it's allowed to grow to is that 800 pixels. So that is good with me. And then it'll grow, 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 boom. And then it'll go to the side. And what I really want to work on is this view right here. Okay, so that's the max width. It's set accordingly. And then on our medium sizes here, I want to go ahead and say the margin right is 8. Margin right. And let's find what the margin right here is. So 19 pixels. So about 19 pixels here. And it will have that floating look once we do more to it. So one thing I want to do, maybe I'll make it 20 pixels. One thing I want to do is make the min height of it 350. Nah, it doesn't really look any better. So the min width on medium is 180. How about 100 and what was it at before? 160. Okay, nice. So there is actually some spacing here, padding bottom. So this is the 400. Nope, this is the 500. So we can add some padding bottom of 5. Does it need to be that much though? I would say it's about 3. 2. Say it's about 2. Okay. So yeah, that is pretty good, honestly. Had to work on it in mobile. Also need to see what the size of this font is here. So this font here is going to be 10.24. So text is going to be, oh, wrong thing here. Class name text 10.24. pixels. Oh, that's too small. I don't like that at all. Yeah, this is really, I feel like really built for mobile because I don't see any other, type of website that would use such a small font. So that's the thing about these Scrimba challenges so far with React. They're all kind of like built for mobile. So it's hard to kind of make this look good on, like, let's say a huge view like this, because I'm not just gonna make the whole card column go all the way over here. What I might try to do is try to make it flip. And I'm not sure how I would do that actually. But I will say that on other views it looks good. What I could actually do though, instead of trying to make it flip, is that moving this whole thing to the center on large screens. So let me try to do that right now. So what I can do here, or what I can say here, is that on large screens, we can say justify center. And then when we go on a large screen here, we'll be in the center. And then we'll shrink, shrink, shrink. I need to make this look good on here. So one thing I can do here also, 250. And then let me see how that looks there. 250 is just a little bit too tall for my liking. So yeah. So boom, 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 shrink. And then we're going to have all the way down to the smallest mobile devices. And then we should be able to go up all the way into our desktop sizes. And that looks, honestly, I don't think that looks bad. Definitely doesn't look bad. So now I think we're done with the components for the most part. I don't see what else we could really put on here. Let's see how this looks flat out. So let's go ahead and remove all of this. Okay, let's remove this. And let's remove this. I think this is the last thing we have to remove. And honestly, there's some adjusting to do here. I think this Helen right here, this gap right here is a little bit too big. So I'm going to take away some padding bottom from Helen, Georgia, maybe like a 4 or 3. Definitely like a 3. But otherwise, when we go into big devices, it looks good. Go into small, it looks good. When we go ahead and shrink into here, it looks pretty darn good. When we go into, let's look through some of our mobile views. So Helen, Georgia. Okay, looks good on those devices. iPad mini looks pretty darn good on iPad mini. iPad Air. Let's see. Ooh, why are we so zoomed in though? Gonna have to refresh real quick. Is this just how an iPad mini looks on my screen? Because even the... Okay, whatever. I'm sure that's not how it's supposed to look. Okay. So let's say iPad Pro. So iPad Pro looks pretty darn good. Pretty darn good. Let's say Galaxy Tab looks pretty darn good. Let's go to the MacBook Air. Looks pretty good, I will say. And then let's say Apple Watch. Not gonna look great because the Apple Watch is, I don't even know where to start when making things responsive for the iPod or the iWatch or whatever watch it's called. Man, my nose just got clogged hardcore out of nowhere. One thing that I feel like could change is maybe, I don't know, some vertical spacing here. Wow, my nose got really clogged out of nowhere. Let's see here. Like 180 might look a little bit better. Let's see. Yeah, 180 looks a little bit better. So down to the smallest of sizes. It looks good. Then that looks good. Going down all the way and then going up all the way looks good because it centers it. Okay. I think I'm happy with that. So now we have to pass some props and actually do React. So a lot of this was just CSS, but now we can go ahead and do React. So what we can do here is in our location, let's pass some props. So let's say props, and we're just going to pass all of these props for right now. And we are just going to do this, use our data, and then we are going to say boom, and this is how we would pass props. So passing props is now going to allow us to use all of these values and basically put all the information that we want to put instead of just having it be hard coded. And this is what's going to allow us to be able to use or to make our own components without having to redo all of that again. So the hard part is done, which was just styling it, and now we can just create props, and this is going to be a much faster, much more simple process. So description, and then my nose just clogged out of nowhere. Like, I don't even know what just happened to my nose, but we'll be all right. So we can move our location in here. Okay, let's see what's going on here. So we have all of our JPEGs here. Okay, it's this right here that's messing it up. So now all of our properties are moved into our location component. So that means we can go to location and we can pass in some props. And let's console.log the props to see what we're getting. So what we are getting is object, and we're getting an object with all of our properties. So now we can go ahead and we can go and fill in the data. So for here, we can go ahead and say image URL of, and I don't know if this will work. Ooh, that's a weird thing. So since I'm using Tailwind to put the background URL with React, I'm not sure how I would change that. So let me see. I'm going to save that for the end. So our SRC, our location button can stay the same, but here we would say props dot, and then we would say props dot country. And that will update to say USA. And then the view on Google Maps, we can say href props dot location, and Now, when we click on it, let's say target underscore blank. So when we click on it, we should go to Google Maps with Helen, Georgia in a different page. And then instead of hard coding Helen, Georgia, let's go ahead and say props.name. That'll stay as Helen. So we can make this Helen GA instead. So here, did I do this in my data? I did. So Helen GA, because we're going to need that later. And then here we can go ahead and say props dot, and then this is going to be our arrival. And then this props dot departure. And then here we can go ahead and say props dot description. And now we have our prop successfully created for Helen, Georgia. And we use the object literals to switch back to JavaScript. And one thing that's weird here is that since I'm using Tailwind, it's going to be weird here because I set my background URL to Helen JPEG through Tailwind. So what I may have to do here, I actually don't know what I would do here. I'd have to actually think about this. So my nose is so clogged right now. I'm going to take a break for a second just because my nose just feels super clogged right now, and I will be right back. All right, I'm back. My nose is not super clogged. I don't know what happened. That was so random. So what I want to basically do here, I was trying to figure out how to fix that weird issue with this being our background. So yeah, that's weird. I'm gonna have to think outside of the box here. So if I say style equals, I can say background set background of div using CSS. So not background color, background image property. So I'm going to remove this real quick, and I'm going to try to do it with regular CSS instead. So what's going to happen if I do that? That's just a weird issue there. Okay, so I'm going to say background image URL /img /helen.jpg style. Let's see here. What is going on? Why is this breaking? Okay, so let me see if that works. That doesn't work. Okay, let me go back here. What? Okay, hold on. I ran into something similar in my last project, so let me see if I can go back into my Airbnb clone. Let me see how I set background images here. src components, and I can go into my card.jsx, and let me see here. So img style equals So let me see what this is. Style equals boom and then boom. And then I can say background image, background image. Dang, that didn't work. URL. Background. And then URL equals. And then let's say props dot img. Okay, let me see here. URL props.img. Dang it, I keep getting an error here. Okay. This is gonna be really difficult, isn't it? img slash helen.jpg. Okay, it doesn't even work that way anyways. Background image. How to set background to div using React image tutorial. Oh, that's on Scrimba, that's cool. Of setting a background. Okay, so style and then background image URL, and then we don't get it yet. Let me see here. Still don't get it. Let's see here. So background image. So we get our background image and then our URL here. And then our name of the file is going to be /img/helen.jpg. Okay, so now we get it. Okay. And now we want it to set it through the prop. So we can say, since we're using template literals here, we can go ahead and say props.img and it should work. Boom, nice. So now what I want to do before I add anything else is I kind of want to test that out. So I want to go ahead and let's go. What's another place I visited? Helen, Georgia, United States. I'm trying to think of somewhere else that I visited that I really liked. Let's look for a different place now. So let's go to unsplash.com and let's say Manhattan. So I've been to Manhattan and Manhattan is really beautiful. So I'm going to add that to the places I've been to. So we're going to go to Manhattan here. I want to find a really beautiful city picture. I think this one looks pretty good. Okay, let's grab this. Just original, whatever. I don't know that I'll keep this picture. Let's say Manhattan at night. Or could we even just say New York? And get some really beautiful pictures of New York. I want like a really vibrant, pretty picture. Let's see here. Oh man, what is wrong? I like this picture. Oh my goodness. Okay, maybe I shouldn't be so picky with the pictures. All right, that was kind of gross. And the worst part is that I don't edit. I literally just post everything. That's gonna be gross if anyone ever sees that, but whatever. Okay, say New York. And let's add New York in here. So one thing that I want to see is if I use New York instead of Helen, we should get New York added, unless I did that wrong. New York. Helen. GA. Is that in the right spot? No, it's not. It's not in here. So let's say New York JPEG. Boom, we get New York in there, baby. That's exactly what we want happening, even though this is not the end of what we are trying to accomplish here. That is pretty darn good. Okay. So what I could go ahead and do next is that I can, since I have my location property and I have my props and I have all the props put wherever I need them to be, I can go ahead and create a map. So now in our components here, I'm going to go ahead and say location map.jsx. And honestly, thinking about it now, I can just say location and locations, or that might be a little bit confusing. We'll say location. I'll just say location map just so that we can tell the difference. So I want to export default function location map, and I want to import some things into location map. So I want to import my location data from my data.js file, and then I also want to import my location component from my location.jsx file. And this is because we are going to iterate over all of these now, and we're going to render up new ones without having to create new components every time. So what we can do here is we could say locations mapped equals, and don't forget to put the const. We're going to say location data dot map, and then we're going to go ahead and say locate, and then our locate is going to iterate over every single element, or just this one element inside of our location data. And for every single one, we are going to make a new component called location. So we're going to make one of those location components that we made right here. And basically, we're going to make one of these location components, or we're going to return it. So we're going to return a location component, and we're going to pass in some props. So one prop that I didn't add in that I should have is an ID. So these need to be basically identified separately. Each one of these props that I'm going to create right now, it's just going to be one, but they need to be they need to be identified separately, or else we'll get a weird error from React. So we just give them an ID. And the ID is going to be key. So the key is going to equal to the locate.id. And locate just signalizes or represents this entire object here. So now from locate, we can say locate ID, locate IMG, locate country, locate name, arrival, etc., etc. And then now to get all of our props, all we have to do, and I want to go ahead and remove this location because we're not going to need this anymore. So it's going to remove it from the screen and we're going to get nothing. And then we can import location map from our location map.jsx. And then if we go ahead and say location map, we're not going to get anything, and that is good. So now we can go ahead and pass all of our props into something called data. Let's just say data. And then all of our props for data is going to contain locate. So now when we go back into our location and we console.log our data, what we'll notice here is that we are getting nothing. Okay, our props. So if we load all of our props in and we go ahead and I think the reason why we're getting this weird error is because we're using a name that we maybe should not use. So let's say items. And our items here. So if we go ahead and up, because we took this out as well. So if we go here, location, we see that we are getting our prop of object. Hold on here. I'm gonna have to go back into the time pool here and gonna have to load this back up. And then I'm going to have to say import location map.jsx because I basically just want to show here that we're getting all of our props back inside of location. But what we notice here is that we go to props.item and it's called items. If we console.log props.items, we see that we don't get anything. And that is weird. So our location map is going to have our location data and our items is going to be locate. So we are pushing all of the data into this prop called locate. And one thing I want to do here is I want to return a div of locations mapped. So locations, and then maybe I need to say locations map. Locations map. So now we are seeing that we're getting our ID here. So if we go in here and we go back to locations, let's go ahead and clear this console log. Dude. Okay, let's clear this. So let's see what happens when we reload. Okay, so when we load up our props, we get the props.items. So that means everything is stored into these items. So now when we reference it and we want to load something up, we would say props.items.img. And let's see. props.items.img. And let me go ahead and I'm lagging out here, and it's probably because I've let this run for too long. So props.items.img, and now we're getting them loaded up. So now we can go props.items.country, and as you see, all of our data is getting loaded up. And what we could also do instead is just to go ahead and use the object spread. And now when we use the object spread, we don't even have to say items. We can just say .country, and then it'll work. So now it'll render everything without having to even reference items, because once props is an item, once items is a prop, we're almost making it like a reference to an object. So for the sake of making things more readable, I'm going to use this strategy, which will make my code a little bit longer, but it'll also make it more readable, because if we do it the way with the object spread, we'll have to look into our data file, and then we'll have to look into all of our separate components, and then it'll just be a lot more work than going here and seeing, oh, all of our items are going to be our locate props, or all of our items are going to be the elements from our locate, which is coming in from location data, which is a file coming from this file right here. So it'll just make it a lot more readable. So we can just go here and we can go ahead and fix this. So we can say items, and then we can go down here and say items. And then we can go down here, say items. And then we can go down here and we can say items. And then we can go down here and keep writing items for all of these, since that's how we are going to reference them. The items. Boom. So now we have everything referenced correctly. And I want to bring attention to an error that we would get here if we took away the key. So if we took away the key, we get an error that says each child in a list should have a unique key prop. So that was what the key prop was for. And the key prop needs to be unique, meaning that every single location that I make needs to have a unique ID, because the key has to be unique. So now that we have Helen, Georgia in here, we can create new cards without barely any work, really. So let me see here. I want to make sure this looks decent. Okay, yeah, I think that's the best it's gonna look. Unless I made it even shorter. I'm not even sure if that is an option. No, I think that looks good. Now what we can do is we can just, instead of having to copy and paste all of that information, we can just say, boom, make this ID of 2, and boom, we have an entirely new component, and that is just insane. So now we can go ahead and we can say the IMG is going to be New York.jpg, and now it's New York. The country is going to be the USA. The name is going to be New York. Arrival. Man, I went in like 2018. And then we are going to say I went in, let's say, December of 20th of 2018. And then I left in 2019, and I left, let's say, January 1st of 2019, or January is not the December. Hold on. I am really slow right now. Yeah, January. Okay. I thought I was tripping for a second. No, I came back in January. I went in December, came back in January. Yep. So, yep, came back in January 2019. And then the description of New York, I would have to find a description, but we can also just go to Google Maps. and we can look up Manhattan, New York, and we can get Manhattan, New York, and we can put it here. And then I'm just going to use some of their boilerplate text here, and I'm going to use that for my description. So I'm going to go here, and for my description, I'm going to use that. And let's go ahead and see how that looks. So Manhattan is one of the most densely populated of New York City's 5 boroughs. So now we have New York in here. And when we go here, we open the Google Maps to take us to Manhattan, New York. And that's exactly what we wanted here. And I'm going to try to add 2 more places. So let's go ahead and copy this. And see how much easier it is to just add new locations. So now we don't really have to recreate this component. This part probably took me like 5 minutes to do. And that's just the power of React and just how awesome React is. So let me look up a Florida beach, or let me look up South Carolina, Tallulah Falls. Tallulah Falls, Georgia. This is in Georgia. South Carolina. What is it called? It's like it's like Chattanga, or like River, Chattooga River. That's what it's called, the Chattooga River. So we need an image of the Chattooga, I can't even say it. But we went rafting in this river, so that was really cool. I want to find something. What is that? Oh, I thought this was like something else. Let's South Carolina, Chattooga River. Does Unsplash have anything like this? So let's go here. We have a lot of stuff open. So this was just me practicing the object spread. Chattooga River. That's not Chattooga River. Don't need that anymore. Just closing some stuff out here. Don't need that. 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 Good reference. Should I put that in my read more? Or in a readme? Let me see. Readme. MD. Resources. Resources. Okay, so now I don't need that. Okay, aerial view. What I'm looking for is the Chattooga River. Oh, Chattooga River. And then let's go to images and let's just see if we can find something that looks pretty nice. Background. And I think that looks pretty nice. So, bruh, do not use without written consent. Oh, man. I don't know if I can use any of this without getting copyrighted. Okay, yeah, I really don't want to get copyrighted here. But I don't think my videos are monetized. I don't know how that would work. Let's see. Chattooga River. Let's see here if I can find something. I really don't want to get hit with any kind of copyright strike, even though I'm not using this for commercial instances. But I think you can still kind of get in trouble for that. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to go to unsplash.com and I'm just going to look up a river. It doesn't even have to be the Chattooga River. And then I'm going to just use, actually, if I just say South Carolina River, wonder if I can get anything close. I'm not going to be able to get anything close. So I'm just going to use, I wish the Chattooga River looked like that. I'm just going to use, I like this one. I'll just use this one. So I'm going to get it in large. And then I'm going to say Finder. And I'm going to grab maybe a few other spots. I have to think of other spots to add. Honestly, I think this will be the last spot I add. So this would need to be called River. So I can go here and then I can rename, boom, and I'll name this Chattooga. So now I can go into my Finder and then I can add Chattooga in here. And then of course this is not going to look like the real Chattooga River, but for the sake of copyright strikes, I will just do that. So this is not New York. This is South Carolina. And then this is Chattooga, South Carolina. Let me see here. And then all of our cards are going like that, which is pretty good, pretty good, pretty good, pretty good. Instead I'm just gonna say Chattooga River. SC. South Carolina. Or actually I'll just say Chattooga River. And then here I'll just say Man. And then Manhattan, New York. Manhattan, New York. And then we'll say the Chattooga River. And then I'm going to just say Chattooga River. And then let's go back. And then let's say the Chattooga River. The Chattooga River. Where is this? Okay, so I'll just use this text right here. Not there. I'll just use this text right here. And then if we go back to V, we'll get the Chattooga River as a flowing river. Responds swimming. I'm sure that that's not really allowed either, but whatever. Chattooga River, Tallulah Falls. Oh, I thought that was in South Carolina. Oh, what? Is that in South Carolina or is that in Georgia? That's like right on the edge. That's crazy. We're just gonna say it's Georgia or South Carolina. And then let's go back here. No upstream rainfalls. Okay. So now when we open Google Maps, it takes us to Chattooga River, and then Chattooga River, South Carolina. And then Helen, Georgia, Manhattan, New York, Chattooga River. And then when we go ahead and we go like this, we get all of our places. So that looks pretty darn good. Let me see compared to theirs. Compared to theirs, it's pretty good. I think I did a pretty good job on this. So their text here seems a little bit bigger. So let's say the arrival was 2022 and no, 2023. 20th of August. August. Honestly, because we went at around the same time, so I'm gonna say I went the 25th. Helen, Georgia, I got back August 25th. August 24th to August 25th. I just want the dates to make sense. And then August 25th to August 26th, 2022. So that makes more sense. Or we can just say the 26th to the 27th. And I want to add one more place. And I want to conditionally render something to indicate that I have not been to that place yet. So what I want to do is I want to go here and I want to go ahead and render this. And I'm going to say this is 4. And this is going to be France. So if I go to unsplash.com and let's go to France. We're going to go to France here. So what's a very beautiful picture of France? That's very beautiful. Or let's just say Paris. So this is going to be in France. This is going to be Paris. This is going to be July 30th of 2022. And then the departure is going to be the 11th of August of 2023. And what I am trying to do here is that I actually haven't been here yet. So I want to make it to where, since I haven't been here yet, I want it to be grayed out. And that would just symbolize that, hey, I have not been to this location yet. And I'm going to have to use some conditional rendering to do that. And I just kind of wanted to practice that. So I want to get a good image of Paris. It's not going to be centered for me. So we'll just get that. And we'll go ahead and grab here. And we'll say this is Paris. So I want to grab my Finder. And I want to put this in here. And then in our data, I can just say Paris. it should update for me. Yep, it's gonna update for me. This is in France. Google Maps. Let me go to France. And then this will take you to France. Okay, and then I'm gonna add 2 more places that I haven't been to yet. So that is when I'm leaving to France, and then that's when I'm getting back. That's the name. So Paris. Where in Paris is this actually? So this is not just Paris, this is Montmartre, Paris. And I don't have a comma between anything, so I won't have to add it here. And I am lagging now. So Montmartre, Paris. I don't know that I'll actually go to that specific spot, but maybe that'll just give me an idea. And then I want to just say Montmartre, Paris. And then, yeah, that looks pretty cool. Okay, so I want to go ahead and do this. And I'm just going to copy some text here. I'm not really sure if I can get in trouble for doing this if it's not for commercial use. I'm not actually sure. I really hope I don't get in trouble for it though, since I'm not going to be making any profit off of this travel journal or this video, since I'm not even monetizing it. So now we have our description, and one thing that I'm wondering about the descriptions is that if it has a different text color, and I think it does. So if we go here to RP, we can say text. Honestly, all of our text was this color, so yeah, all of our text was this color. I want to see what it looks like in our mobile phones though, since we've been adding so much stuff. Let's go all the way down to the iPhone 5. Yeah, that looks really good. That looks good. This one's really long, and then this one's the longest. I kind of want to make this shorter. I don't think that's necessary. Yeah, okay. I like that better. So yeah, that is really cool that I can just go through these. And one thing that I feel like would be also really cool to add is, what if I made it to where let's see. Rounded top, medium. So I can make the top rounded here. And then when we go to the iPhone 12, that's pretty cool. I think it'd also be really cool if it was like more, like if it was actually contained inside of something, but I think that's fine as well. And then of course with these iPad Airs, they'll come up regularly. Just wanted to change that real quick. So that looks good. So now I want to go into my data. I want to conditionally render something, and then I want to say visited equals false. So I have not visited France yet. I haven't been there. So what we can do here is that we can go into our location and we can conditionally render something. So background image is going to be the URL, and then we can say the so we can change brightness of image using CSS. So we can say, how do I use it in here? Filter. So we can also filter, and then we can say brightness 50%. Is it still broken? Yeah. Add a filter to JSX. No. Add filter to inline CSS. Okay. Filter blur. Let me see here. So background URL. Do I need another one? Brightness 50%. Okay, that worked. Let me see what happens to my components, and they just break. What happens if I do this? They break as well. Trying to think here. How would I do this? Okay, okay, brightness, let's say 50. Okay, so I think I got that now. So 20. Ooh, that's making it more opaque. So what I can say here is I want to conditionally render something. So I want to say style. Let me see what I could do here. Trying to think of how I did it on my other app. So let me see 2 different ways. So we can say props in button, and then I can say display props dot button. Display props dot button. Let me see here. I can say let visited equal let visited. And then we can say if if props.item.visited hold on. If not props.item visited, so if I haven't visited, so visited is going to equals, I don't think that's going to work at all. Filter brightness 60%. I can actually, I think, just do this. So now my filter is going to be visited. Visited. Let's see if that works. Ah, dang it. I felt like it was going to work. Oh, wait. I didn't wrap it. Oh, it still doesn't work. What? Now nothing's working. Okay. Let me stop this. Why does that break it? What? Why does that break it for me? Visited? Okay, let me see. Items. Items. Okay, I was referencing that wrong. So if props items dot not visited, then I want to go ahead and say boom filter. No, I want to say filter brightness 60%. But instead of passing this hard-coded, I want to go ahead and just pass in this and say visited. Dang it, it's not working. Brightness, is it changing all of them though? Not changing any of them. Okay. Maybe I need to take this off. Okay, let's say 50. So filter equals visited. Okay, now it's changing all of them. So I put them in template literal strings. So I can say 80%. What? Okay, so if I go into my data here and I say visited equals true, I need to be able to see. Oh, okay. So now the ones that I visited are gonna be lightened. So if I say visited false, it'll go to that. But these other ones I have visited, so I want to say true. And I want to say true for these other ones. Okay, so I don't know why it's requiring me to refresh for them to work. Maybe it's because we're changing a JS file. So nice. So now we have the places that we haven't visited yet, and those are going to be grayed or darkened out. So how would the user know? Well, they could go here to the date and say, oh, this date hasn't passed yet, so that means they haven't gone. Or they can kind of just see that the background is darker. So what I could do is make a different filter, make use of a different filter, and try and see if I can make it a little bit more obvious, because this just maybe looks like it's a really dark picture. So what I could do here is go to the filter property, and I mean, if I made it 40, maybe it looks like, I don't know, because maybe it looks like I haven't been there yet. But I would have to kind of switch the orders. So maybe I would want this to be first here. So ID of 1, and then I'm going to make this ID of 4. Whoa, okay. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to move this to the top. And then I'm going to take this, and I'm going to move this to the bottom. So now Helen, Georgia should be at the bottom. I don't know why it's doing that. Boom. So now we have Paris, and I wish there's a way to let the user know, hey, I have not been here, so it's gonna be grayed out. But I kind of want to make one more, and let me just see how this would look. So this ID is going to be 5, and then here I'm going to make a new location, and this is going to be 4. So now we can create this and refresh. So now we have another Helen, Georgia. I want to get a picture of Switzerland. It's another place I want to visit. Switzerland. Switzerland's. So Switzerland. So Switzerland. And then I want to get a very beautiful image of Switzerland, because Switzerland is very beautiful. Switzerland green. Switzerland nature. Is there not a lot of pictures of Switzerland on here? I guess there's not. Wow, I thought there'd be more images of Switzerland. So this one's pretty nice. So I'll get this one. Get our finder going here. And then I want to rename this Switz. Is that how you spell Switzerland? Maybe I was just spelling Switzerland wrong. I was definitely just spelling Switzerland wrong. I was like, why isn't anything coming up? I'd noticed when I was putting it in here. Honestly, oh, this is so beautiful, man. This is so beautiful, but I really like this picture too. Okay, let's use this. So let's, man, Switzerland is such a beautiful country. Switzerland, JPEG. So let's go ahead and get our finder. Let's drop this in here. So we have Switzerland here. Okay, it's getting late. Switzerland.jpg. So this is where in Switzerland, because I need to know. Where is this in Switzerland? Grimitz. Grimitz. Switzerland. So maybe I'll have to Switzerland. Is that how you spell Switzerland? Nope, I don't need this New York image anymore. Yeah, that wasn't how you spell Switzerland. Okay, so Switzerland, Grimitz, and then I'm going to visit it probably, let's say, July 31st. July. And I'm noticing that my data is conflicted here. So visited will say false. I haven't gone there yet. So I'm going to go July 31st. Departure. I'm going to get there July 30th and leave July 31st. And then for Switzerland, I'm going to get there August 1st. Say August 2023. And I'm going to leave August 3rd of 2023. So, and then I need a better description here. So I'm going to go here to Switzerland. Okay, we'll just do that. If it's too much, then we'll just cut back on it. All right, not bad. So let's go into our V. Switzerland. Nice. This looks so beautiful, man. It looks really good. And then when we go into our view, we'll get everything to the center. And then when we go into mobile, we'll get it all rendered up on mobile. So this is grayed out because I haven't gone there yet. This nice. This looks really, really good. Came out really good. Okay, am I still recording? I am still recording. Wow. So yeah, everything looks pretty good for the most part. Could I make these components a little bit larger? Yes. Am I going to? Nah. I think that looks pretty good for the most part. So anyone can check this out on mobile, or let me see, Z Flip. I can't even see that. Microsoft Duo, it's gonna work, of course. That's so weird. I wonder if it's really like that when you're using the Microsoft Duo. Like if you actually just can't see that text. Is there a Fold device? I don't know that. Galaxy Fold 2. Oh, well, this is when it's outstretched. I seen a funny meme where it was like employer going to check your site responsiveness on a folding phone. It's hilarious. Because folding phones are tiny. They're like probably even thinner than that, but this should work perfectly on all types of phones. So one thing I wanted to do here was inspect element, and then let's go ahead and, because foldable phones are probably like around here, dude, like 280, like something crazy like that. But I think that looks pretty good, and I could sit here all day and just mess around and put places, but these are the places that I have visited, and some of the places that I haven't visited yet are grayed out. So that's using conditional rendering, and it's just JavaScript, which is great. So I basically just said let visited equals brightness of 400. If it's not visited, so if visited is false, then we'll render the brightness. And then I can say else visited equals whatever, but it's fine. It's only gonna set that brightness filter if this is false. Otherwise, it's not gonna do anything. So no need for any more code on that end. That's pretty much it. This video was pretty long. I mean, it was just a live build, so just seeing just seeing how to create all this, and it was really fun. And I think we were able to get pretty darn close to the goal. Looking at it now, this might have a little bit more spacing here. I think I can just add that real quick. The items, dot location, padding bottom, we can say a 4. Let me see here. It really is 4, but I don't know. I don't like 4. It's just so far apart. I like 3 better. I'll stick with 3. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I had a really good time doing this project. Most of it was just styling, literally. The rest of the React part was super simple. I think I'll just review it just to go ahead and make sure. So we get our props from our location, and then we set our props, and we're setting our props from our location map, and we're sending all of our properties into a prop called items. And each item is going to represent each and every single item inside of our location data, which is what we're mapping over. So all of the data is put into items, and then now we can reference those items here inside of our prop card. So we can say props item img, etc., etc. We're conditionally setting our filter of visited to be if I have not visited yet, then our brightness is going to be 40, making it more dull. We can change this to 50, and I like 50. It doesn't look too dark, but it looks dark enough to see that there's a difference between these two. And yeah, that's basically it. We have our header component, which was a very simple header component, nothing too serious here. I could mess around with all of this other stuff, try to make it a little bit bigger or whatnot, but I don't think it really matters. Yeah, that's about it.